Hey,
Hey, Radhika.
how's it going? So good to
Great,
see you.
great to see you, buddy.
How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Yeah,
Grateful. Yeah, doing
been
good.
a good day for you?
It's been a good day. I'm healthy and my family is healthy and,
Wow.
somehow or other having an opportunity still to connect with the community and support people who are in need. And
Yeah,
so I'm
wow.
grateful to have the
Yeah.
opportunity to serve.
It's really such an honor to have you part of this conversation. For those of you that don't know, by the way, Vira, he's a very special person. I met him first in New York a couple of years ago, but he's known across the world for being a transformational coach, someone that holds beautiful courses, retreats all over the world. And most famously probably because he's one of the directors at the Bhakti Centre in New York. And because of all of these things, he's transforming so many lives across the world. And so because of that, I'm actually super grateful and very honored to have you here as part of this conversation. And yeah, just super grateful from my side, brother.
Thank you for making time. Thank you for giving an opportunity to connect with you. I feel the same way about you, and so anytime that we could have a conversation, whether it's one-on-one on a phone call or we're popping on Instagram, I'm just grateful. Grateful
Yeah,
to be
it's
here.
beautiful. And it's so nice to have such a wonderful community joining us. Let us know where you guys are joining from, how your days have been. Hope you guys have had a wonderful day. Even if it has been in social distancing, what have you been doing with your time and your opportunity that you have right now? I know, Vira, that you always have these sessions with the Bhakti Center on Instagram, and I know that you start them with a prayer. And I was really touched by one that you had a couple of days ago, and I was hoping that maybe if you were inspired to share a prayer with us all to get us kind of getting the mind in the right space for this conversation, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Grateful to. Something that, I start, we've been doing for the last week or so. We've been having IG Live chats with Doyal and I in the mornings. And we start off with a little bit of prayer. And prayer is, it's so powerful because it's literally, it's like I remember this song from Krishna Das that, he says, Jesus is on the main line. Call him if you want. And he's talking about prayer and saying, how easy it is to connect. If we
Yeah.
we close our eyes, we take a moment, that connection that we're seeking is available to us every moment of our life. And so
Definitely.
that's what prayer is for me. And no matter what the religious background is, faith, it doesn't matter, just to connect to our source, to connect to ourselves spiritually, connect to our higher power. And so I could share a little prayer if you'd like.
You guide us, you tell us what to do. For those of us that are
Okay,
watching, you can also join in.
awesome.
You guide us through this experience.
Okay, cool. So wherever you guys are at right now, I'm going to ask that you're standing or you're sitting, laying down, just to close your eyes and to connect to your breath. And we're going to go on a little journey, just softening whatever distractions may be there, whatever's going on around you, just softening that noise and just taking a few moments to be with yourself. We're going to pray that for the people in the world right now that are feeling some isolation, that are feeling disconnected from themselves, that are feeling disconnected from meaning, from purpose, from each other. We pray to our higher power, please help them to feel connected. Please help them to see meaning and purpose in what's taking place in their life. And for those of us that right now may be feeling grateful, we may be feeling strong, we may be feeling connected, let us be instruments of sharing that love and helping to uplift those that are around us. And please empower us in that way that we may be instruments of whatever it is that the people in our lives need in these moments right now. That we can be instruments of your love, of your grace in each other's lives. Hari Om. Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's so beautiful to always start these conversations as we mean to go on. And it was such a blessing just to hear your voice speaking about praying for those that are in need, to be grateful for where we're at, if we are in a grateful position. And you can maybe just tell from the tone of my voice, I've just kind of gone from this mode of passion straight into a nice place. So thank you so much for doing that for us.
Yeah, of course, buddy. Of course, for me, it's a gift. Anytime I have an opportunity to pray, it's a gift. So thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you. So today, guys, we had this conversation planned around the topic of relationships. And the reason why it kind of stunted me, or why it kind of spoke to me, was because I read this article recently on Sky News, which said that because people are going to be in close proximity with their loved ones, that lawyers are suspecting and expecting that people are going to be filing for a lot more divorce. And also on the flip side, that there's going to be more and more childbirth coming up. A lot more people are going to be planning their families while they've got the time to. And so this kind of dynamic of relationships is kind of brought to the forefront right now, where people are kind of forced or confronted with spending time with their loved ones. And so I wanted to hear from Vira about relationships, you know, on a personal level between human beings, but also on a higher level. Maybe if you had some insight perhaps on relationships when it comes to divinity, relationships when it comes to God, when it comes to our spiritual relationships as well. So I wanted to just hear where you're kind of at, what space you're in right now, what's inspiring you with relationships, or what you wanted to share. We can just see if there's any comments, questions you guys have, then please fire away. But the floor is all yours, Vira.
Thanks. Yeah, you know, it's amazing. When you mentioned that to me the other day, it was kind of shocking, you know.
Right.
And I had a conversation. I almost had to like double take it, and I had a conversation with my wife, Deanna, who I saw tune in also the other day, and I had mentioned to her. I was like, you know, yeah, I was talking to Radhika, and you know, he said that because of the coronavirus and because people are going to be spending so much time together, the divorce rates are set to increase. You know, and she said, and she. It was like a double take. It was like, wait, because people are spending more time together, you would think it would be the opposite, right? You think families are coming together, people are connecting more, and it's really true. You know, people in our community right now have been reaching out and have been, you know, it's every day. It's every single day that I'm hearing people, you know, talking about, you know, being confined with their partner and it not being a good thing, that they are struggling to look at each other through the lens of love. They're struggling to be in that close proximity and to really be supportive in their communication, be supportive in their day-to-day relationship. And so it's pretty shocking. And also kind of like, okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, people aren't equipped, you know. I didn't learn anything about communication formally until, you know, I was in my late 20s in my life. No school, no class, you know, maybe a little bit learning from my parents and friends, but otherwise, like, no, I never learned how to relate to another human being and how to hold space and be empathic. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised actually when I think about it, that we're not equipped actually to really be in intimacy in a lot of ways. And so.
Yeah, it's definitely shocking, and I think it's come to a point where many people are cherishing their loved ones from afar, that we've got so many urgent things to do in life, so many things that we want to accomplish, to succeed, to feel like we've succeeded in our small amount of time that we have on this planet. And when we have now this opportunity where we're forced into that space, it's like you said, none of us really had this education of how to relate to other human beings. We kind of just had to learn as we go along. And it's so different based on your culture, perhaps, or based on where you're living in the world. But now there seems to be this kind of movement of people talking about relationships, and not just recently, but over the last maybe decade or more, where people are being more conscious about it. And I just wanted to know, like, what keeps you inspired in your relationship, perhaps in your marriage, or what has been kind of the things that have kind of kept you in love, I guess, with your partner. And have you got any tips on anything that people can kind of apply now that they're in social, you know, proximity with their loved ones, maybe their parents perhaps, or, you know, any thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So what keeps love flowing? It's a great question. And when you share that, it's just kind of like, it's that big question, right? It's like, you know, when it comes down to it, if we kind of go back in our life and we look at the most fulfilling experiences that we've had, or if we, you know, look into the future and we say, what is it that I'm actually seeking? What is it that I'm actually looking for? It's going to come around relationships. It's going to come around connection. It's going to come around love, right? Right. And so, you know, I was thinking about it and I said, okay, what keeps it alive in my own life is that actually what's most important in my life? Like, am I clear? Am I clear about that? Am I clear about a vision for my life that's I want to experience a higher love. That's what's most important in my life. And we were talking about it on IG Live this morning, and somebody had put in the comments, they said, imagine a couple with a vision, right? That each couple is sharing a vision. They're competing with who can serve the other more effectively, who could love the other with more intention, with more devotion. And so it's something, that's really kind of starts off, I believe it starts off with that intention, and being able to have that clear vision that this is the type of relationship I want to be in. This is the type of love. This is what I want to experience in my life. And from there, then I can start to really, if that's true, if that's really true, then I'm going to go into each experience. I'm going to go into each, exchange with my partner. Totally. Whether it's with my partner or whoever it is, that, how can I love? How can I serve more effectively right now? And so I think it starts with that.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but even just watching you speaking about it, I feel more love towards you. It just seems that it emanates from your being. Like, I mean, you must be practicing that, right? Like every interaction, you really do pray that, let this be an interaction of love.
I'm trying.
Yeah. It's beautiful to watch. I mean,
my best.
Yeah, I'm really unconscious in that sense. I'm really kind of the person that thinks about it afterwards. I'm trying harder and harder, but I think that now I'm in a space where I've got this opportunity to kind of pause on all the expectations of life, and all these conversations I've been having. It's really kind of opened my eyes to so many truths that I've been kind of putting to the back seat or not really exploring. So this is something, in one sense, revolutionary for me to think, okay, let me take a pause before I kind of engage in this conversation, before I kind of even wake up. There's this book by Sharon Gannon, Jiva Mukti teacher, that I was speaking with one of my friends, Emma Henry, about a couple of days ago. And that even starts with, before you get out of bed, what are you grateful for? Are you grateful for God? Are you grateful for your guru? Are you grateful for your partner? And it really struck me, because normally I'm just out of bed and go. London life is like that. I'm sure New York life is like that as well. But I mean, for you, kind of, is there anything practical that kind of has really helped you, or every day this is a must-do practice? Because you mentioned intention, but is there a practice of how to do that, or how to bring in intention into your life?
Yeah, I'm appreciating, just reflecting in the dialogue, because you're giving me so many insights also, and reminding me of practices, and I know you live it. I know you live it, and you're being humble, and I pray I can be humble too. And but it's work in progress, right? It's work in progress. Like, there's by no means in every interaction am I expressing love, by no means. But that's the goal, And I'm super grateful. Practically, I'm super grateful. Deanna and I talk about commitment, right? And we talk about, what are we committed to? What type of relationship? What is the vision? For the types of interactions, the type of values, the way that we behave with each other, the way we communicate with each other. What are we actually seeking? What are we looking to refine in our life in that way? And so, I think it starts with that. There's. I was thinking about it beforehand. Just what are, and then 3 C's came to my mind. Was commitment, and communication and connection, and then community, and commitment really is, okay, what am I committed to? I may have fallen in love with somebody. There may have been some infatuation or some initial connection or circumstance that brought us together, but what are we choosing to fall in love with together? What are we choosing to put in the center of our life? Are we putting a higher power in the center of our life? Are we putting a set of values and principles that we really believe are going to invoke love in our connection and in our interactions together? And so, starting with that and really seeing, and really checking in with that, coming back to that. And I see now more than ever as an opportunity where, of course, there are people that have not been affected by the coronavirus, but a lot of people have. And for a lot of people, it's created this opportunity to kind of sit with themselves and to be with their partners and their loved ones, and really seeing it as an opportunity to step back and look at that bigger picture, to look at the vision for our life, and what's the life we want to live together. Let's put it on the table. If we've never done that before, or if it's been a while since we've done it, let's put that on the table. Let's write that script together, and let's be real transparent, real honest with that. And and see how we can support each other in that. So yeah, starting with that commitment to vision, a shared vision, and putting that in the center of the relationship. I'd say that's a starting point, and just a super practical one. Yeah, okay, yeah. So then from there, then we're going into communication. And for me, I know the majority in my life, I've been basically like the fix-it guy, where I'm like, I'm like a mechanic showing up to, whether it was, first off in my coaching career or, body work or whatever it was, my whole life in relationships with my mom, with my family, friends, like there's a problem. It's like, all right, let's fix this problem, And I just found that like people kept coming back with problems, or those same things kept coming up again and again. And
temporary fixes.
Totally. Because that's not actually what they were looking for. They were looking for dialogue. They were looking for empathy. They were looking to be heard, that actually they had the answers, and they just needed someone to be with them in the immediate struggle that they were facing. And so that's been a huge transformational key in my life. There's a book that I highly, highly recommend if anybody is interested to work on, the two kind of components of communication that I'm thinking about right now are the inner dialogue that takes place in our own subconscious and our own mind, how we treat ourselves and how we perceive the world, kind of what that voice is, what that communication is, to really look at our own crap, to have an opportunity to really look at what's that internal communication, what's that dialogue, because that is going to project into every one of my relationships. That's going to become the filter which affects positively or negatively every one of my interactions. And so to have an opportunity to look at that, to be able to pause when we feel something, to be able to accept, those feelings that are coming up, and to be able to come to that place of conscious choice, before I react, before I get into action. And so, that's one of the components. And then the other component is empathy, is that when I'm actually in dialogue with somebody, to learn the simple tools of, reflective listening and holding space and permission, before offering advice and suggestion, just to really be with somebody and whatever experience in life that they're having, to be with them 100% in that experience. And if they ask for advice, if they ask for inputs, then okay, sure, let's offer that from our heart in a way which is constructive and in a way which we feel is really helpful. But otherwise, like, let's just be with people 100%. Let's hold space for them, seeing that they're a pure spiritual being. And right now that's a little bit covered, or right now they feel disconnected from that. But let me hold that space and let me be with them and just hear them and just reflect them and let them be with themselves in those moments. And so that's, and there's so much on communication. I mean, it's like, every day is a work in progress for my own inner dialogue and every interaction.
That's amazing.
And,
no, go on, sorry. You were going to say,
and then the third one is the third C is community, is that we're not going to do it on our own. We're gonna fail on our own tremendously. We're going to fail hard on our own. And life is not meant to be done alone.
No,
we're not meant to figure it all out. There's a lot of amazing people that have come before us that have walked the path before us, and we can gain so much inspiration and so much insight by just putting ourselves into contact with them, with our friends and family and community that may be more effective in their relationships, that may have more experience in their relationships, that may have gone through tremendous tests and challenges in their relationships and navigated them consciously. We need to put ourselves under their shelter. We need to put ourselves in their company and be with them. And so,
I mean, you just summed it up. How to have an effective relationship, commitment, conversation, or you mentioned, how did you put it? It wasn't conversation. It was
communication.
Communication and community.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are a few things that I've been trying to practice, and I'm just in the process with all these things for sure, just trying to figure it out too.
Wow. Sabrina was asking, what was the name of the book? I think you mentioned The Inner Dialogue. Oh
yeah, the name of the book is it's called Relationships That Work, and it's by David Wolfe. And get the volume 2. He's got a new volume he just put out, Relationships That Work by David Wolfe. It's super, super powerful. It totally transformed my life. My wife, she's like, that's one of the pillars of the success. If there's any success in our marriage, like that is definitely one of the pillars of it. You know, where Vira went from Mr. Fix-It to like, just being with me and being in a dialogue. And so.
Wow. Okay, well, I think that kind of really puts, if you have questions, by the way, guys, you should be definitely putting them in there, because we're going to read out some of the comments, some of the questions. Mentioning that someone wrote, would you say a lot of relationships that end in divorce are based on egocentric? I want to get out of this and would like to serve. Don't know if you have any thoughts on that one.
Okay, maybe Radhika, maybe you could share it one more time. Or
Sure. It said, would you say a lot of relationships that end in divorce are based on egocentric? I want to get out of this and would like to serve.
Yeah, a lot of relationships end in divorce. I think that I think a lot of the reason that relationships end in divorce is that we weren't clear about why we were getting into the relationship to start with. And and if we're not clear about why, then as time goes on, if it's something that's based off the body, right? If it's based off just an immediate bodily attraction and connection, that changes, right? And so when that changes, the why, the core why of being in that relationship is a major shift that oftentimes we're unconscious about, and we just lose attraction, we lose connection just based off of that.
Right.
And
surface level relationships, bodily connection.
Yeah, totally. And so, okay, if I'm really clear about why I'm entering into a relationship and I share a vision with my partner, then I'm much more likely to, that's of deep meaning, that's of the deepest meaning, the deepest purpose of my life, then, okay, if it's really, truly meaningful, I'm going to stick with it, even when it's challenging. But if it's not that meaningful, if I could get sex somewhere else, or if I could get pleasure somewhere else, right now my wife or my husband is a pain in the ass, I'm going to leave, right? Because it's a lot easier to leave and to find that somewhere else than it is to stick with it, to say, I'm looking for unconditional love. I'm looking to be with someone who's committed to that, and I know we're going to go through challenges, but I want to love through those challenges. I want to love, and I want to grow, and I want my love to become unconditional. Then okay, then I'm going to stick through those challenges. And so I think there's a lot of reasons that that relationships will end in divorce. But I think we're touching on it today with vision, really sharing that, and communication, and really having the right type of community around us to support us. There's so many reasons that relationships end in divorce, and there's the betrayal and heartbreak, and there's people that genuinely grow apart, that genuinely start having different visions in their life, and so you
can't just pinpoint it straight on just
it's a big conversation. For sure.
Thank you so much for the question, though, Caps. Really appreciate it. I wanted to ask you in relation to, now we've spoken about kind of human relationships now quite a lot, but I wanted to see whether you had any insights on a spiritual relationship or a divine relationship. Does one exist? Is there such a thing as one? How does one connect with that? What are different methods in which one can connect with a spiritual relationship and keep it kind of nourished? How does one keep it? Because I'm sure many of you are spiritualists that are watching already. Then how do you keep your spirituality nourished, your spiritual relationships nourished, both with those that are practicing, devotees of a practice, or those that are just, or even your divine connection? So if you guys have any thoughts on that, please put it in the comments. But I wanted to pose it to you, Vira.
I want to pose it back to you, Radhika. You come on. When I think about a spiritually connected dude in the world, most definitely your name, your face, your heart pops up. So I'd love to hear you share.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. What would you share on that? And I'm happy to add some thoughts after.
My thoughts on it are that I think a spiritual connection for every single human being at some point or another becomes essential. That I think that there comes a point in everyone's life where everything else becomes superfluous or extra apart from one's connection with divinity, with God, with a spiritual connection. And I think when one identifies that there's a need for that, when there is kind of a crying out of the heart for a spiritual connection, then the first thing that I would say is find association, or find friends, or find people that you really do care about, that also share the same kind of interest. And through that connection, you can kind of feed off one another. You build your desire for spiritual life. And then I think the next step would probably be to kind of engage in some of the practices. So for me, my own sadhana, my own kind of spiritual practice is to chant every day, to read every day, to try and find moments for, I call it the 3 steps is Nam Ruchi, to find some taste in chanting the holy names, to find opportunities for Vaishnava Seva, to find opportunity to serve those that are also practicing. And then finally, the 3rd step is Jiva Doya, which is to try and serve those which are less fortunate than myself. And by trying to tick these 3 boxes on a daily basis, I find that my relationship with my spiritual identity becomes clearer, more defined. It helps me to kind of feel the presence of God in one sense, that by just consistently looking, does this kind of enter into any of these 3 categories? And do I find that immediately I find that I'm somewhat spiritually connected? My spiritual relationship is nourished and alive. And so I try to keep it simple, but obviously life throws a million things at us. And I think that it's always a growing practice. It's not something that you can kind of, oh, the clouds have parted from the sky, and now I'm kind of a spiritual being, and I don't see anything else. But yeah, so that's kind of kept me alive. These three principles: Nam Ruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Doya.
Amazing, amazing. You know, I got the analogy when you were sharing that of a well. You know, like that. Wow. That you've had an experience. You've had spiritual experiences in your life that have given you have given you a taste of something very sweet, very special. You know, in spiritual life, and now you've found it's like, okay, you've narrowed it down where you've said, hey, I've found these sources, I've found these wells, and I know if I go to these wells, if I sit down in meditation on the divine names of the absolute truth, if I sit down in meditation, I know I'm drinking that spiritual energy, I'm nourishing myself with it. And if I'm in service of people that are on the path, that are inspiring me, if I'm in service of them, you know, again, I'm getting nourished, right? You know, and then if I make myself available for service, I'm getting nourished from that. I'm getting that spiritual nourishment. And so, yeah. And
to even just be having this conversation with someone who is so committed in their own service of others, it's really honoring, and it's really heart-touching to be even having this conversation with someone that really, I'm speaking about Vira here, someone who really has given his life in service to others, not just kind of giving. I heard this one quote by Ram Dass the other day, which said that if you feel like you're spiritually enlightened, then just spend time with your family, because you know, all the things will start to come out. But I've noticed that even when I had this conversation about even having this IG live, when I was speaking to Vira, he was speaking about how sweet and loving his relationship with his partner is, with his newborn child. And that kind of really inspired me to say, okay, I need to have this chat on IG Live with you, because you're someone that, really lives this service of others, not just the wider world, the wider community, but even at home. And so it's, really, really an honor to speak with you. Thank you.
I'm trying, Bubba. I'm in process. You know, something Doyle and I talk about often, just in our one-on-ones and now live, is that I pray for all of us that we can be in a fulfilling process of life, you know, that we keep coming back to what's most important, and we keep refining, and that it's a work in progress. And I know that I'm filled with imperfections. It's like, you know, the dented can, right? We're all dented cans, right? We all have these chips. We've all got these imperfections, you know, traumas and challenges in different ways that we've experienced, that I am in process, right? I'm not spiritually illuminated. I haven't fully become enlightened by any means, but I'm in the process of that. That's my aim. That's my goal. And I pray that we can all have a process that's fulfilling, that we really feel like it's moving us toward our highest expression of love and deepest connection with ourself and source. And so on.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. I was wondering if you,
bro.
Sorry?
You're encouraging, man.
No,
you're giving me so much encouragement just being with you.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I was wondering actually if you had any sort of meditation prepared, which you could share with us maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, where we could all kind of engage in that, and to maybe on this topic of relationship, if something comes out, otherwise anything that's inspiring you right now that will help us too. It could be a chanting meditation, it could be a silent one, whatever you feel will help us to kind of, encapsulate this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when you asked about that, there was something that came up, and I want to give it a shot. You know, it's
Yeah, let's
kind of
do it.
going out on a limb a little bit.
Let's do it.
Something that kind of sprung out of my heart this morning when I was writing, and yeah, so yeah, I'd love to share that. It's a guided meditation. So this is something that for each of us, just to find a comfortable seat, comfortable lay down, whatever that looks like for you, and probably 5 minutes or so, something like that. We're going to go on a journey. We're going to go on an internal journey where, with our eyes closed, we're going to activate our mind's eye. We're going to turn on the movie screen of our mind's eye. We're going to go on a little journey into the depths of our heart. And so with your eyes closed, just connecting to your breath, connecting to the moment right now, feeling your breath moving through your body. We're going to go into a very special and sacred place within the deepest regions of our hearts. And so with your mind's eye, imagine yourself walking on a forested path, feeling the earth beneath your feet with each step. Through the trees, you begin to notice a body of water in the near distance. As you come closer, you observe the most peaceful, inviting freshwater pond you've ever seen in your life. This pond has a name. The name of this pond is Radha Kund. She's made of pure liquid love. And as you approach her banks, you bend down and take a few drops of water into your hand, and you sprinkle them on your head. As you fold your palms at her banks to your heart, you bring a prayer and intention into your consciousness. What is it that you're seeking in your life? What is it that matters the most to you? What is it that's most meaningful to you? And stating that internally as a spiritual intention. And something like, I give and receive love unconditionally in all my exchanges. Whatever that is for you, stating it internally in the present tense. Repeating that intention one more time. And repeating that intention one more time, just letting it sink in just a little deeper. Now, as you enter her waters, you feel your feet being embraced with the love of a divine mother. As you continue further, your legs, hips start to touch her waters. Your hands, your arms, your abdomen. You're walking in all the way up to your chest, feeling embraced with the love of a divine mother. As you submerge yourself completely in her waters, you feel yourself letting go of all external designations and identities, and allowing her love to enter your body and to awaken your soul. As you resurface from her water, you now become aware of your heart center as the origin of your soul and connection with your source. You shed all your external identities, and a voice of truth begins to speak to you from within your heart. You're not your body. You're not your mind. You're not your emotions. You're not your positions in life. You're not your successes or your failures. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. You do not come into being and will not come into being. You are unborn, eternal, ever existing. You're not slain when the body is slain. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy your imperishable soul. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. Your individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can neither be burned nor dried. You everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. You are pure truth. You are blissful. Your ultimate purpose in life is to uninterruptedly express pure love. That's unlimitedly available as the nature of your soul and as an offering to your divine beloved and everyone you come into contact with. Beginning to deepen your inhales, deepen your breath, remembering this sacred place in your heart is always available to you. Bringing your intention back into your consciousness. What is it that you're seeking in life? What is it that's truly most meaningful to you? And beginning to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes and slowly opening your eyes, coming back into your external consciousness. Thank you, Baba. Thank you guys so much for being with us in that meditation, that prayer. Thought we could close just by chanting the Maha Mantra once, and of course, Radhika, anything else that you're hoping, but just in closing this meditation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Letting that mantra touch our hearts and our souls. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you. Wow. I'm totally lost for words, so I don't know what to say. How can we do anything more? You took us to a sacred, holy place, both externally a place which I know, Radhakund, a place in Vrindavan, a sacred place in India, but also a sacred place in the heart, which was that of our eternal soul. So thank you so much for sharing that meditation, that prayer as well. Very heartfelt, really appreciate it. If you guys have any thoughts or anything that you experienced in that meditation, then please do share. This, of course, will be streamed for the next 24 hours, and I'll always have it recorded, so anyone that wants to watch it afterwards can watch it afterwards. But I was wondering, Virabhadraram, if you had any closing thoughts, anything that you wanted to share for people in this time, anything that you'd advise, anything that you suggest that people really try and imbibe in their lives during this moment. And yeah, any comments or questions, guys, anything that you have, I'm going to be scrolling through right now. But if you have any comments or questions, please do share. But any closing thoughts from your side, Virabhadraram?
Yeah, any closing thoughts? For me personally, spend more time with Radhika Ranjan. Spend more time with Radhika Das.
Spend more time with Virabhadraram. Check out his handle.
My personal intention and aspiration. So yeah, any suggestions is to be gentle with ourselves and to use this as an opportunity for rediscovery. Use this as an opportunity for stepping back from our life and really, let's magnify what's most important to us in our life. Let's magnify that. Let's bring that to the forefront of our consciousness and really put that down on a piece of paper and just start to mind map it. Start to see what are the things that are going to support coming into contact with that goal, with that deepest meaning in our life. What's going to support that? What are things in our life right now that may be getting in the way of that? Maybe actually just, stopping us from connecting there and stopping us from going there. In a practical way, let's just get it on a piece of paper and let's journal it. Let's write about it. Let's gain greater insights, and let's take one thing off that sheet of paper. Let's take one thing that when we look at it and we say, this is the most important thing that I could do to take one step forward and living a life on purpose and living a life of meaning. Let's take that one thing and let's do it. Let's commit to following through and doing it. That's just something that's springing from my heart right now. Wow.
Oh yeah, definitely, guys. Make that list. Make sure just do it. Just do it. Just get stuck in and make something happen. You have the chance now. You've got the time now. Why not take the opportunity? I wanted to thank Virabhadraram very, very kindly for sharing with us all for taking time out of his very busy schedule. Even though we're all, in one sense, we're all at home, and it seems like, yeah, we have so much time on our hands, but I know he's someone that's still striving for giving to as many people as he can and in a loving way as he can. And he's taken time out to be with us all. So share some love, press that love button, guys, to share some appreciation for Vira Tansey. But what are you doing now that people can connect with? So how can people get in touch with you if they want to hear more? What would be the process of doing that? What are you sharing at the moment and where?
Yeah, thanks for asking. You know, right now you can go on Bhakti Center's Instagram. We're doing lives every single day. We start off at 8:55 with morning prayer, and then 9 o'clock with a conversation with Doyal, and just talking about life. You know, talking about what's coming up and conversations we're having with community members, and how to bring that empowering perspective to those conversations, and just being vulnerable in that. And we're doing kirtan each night.
Wow.
Different times, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we're doing kirtan. We're having a conversation also in the evening with Kishore Chandra and Jai Jagannath. So check out Bhakti Center's handle. And then also bhakticenter.org. Check us out online. We're really doing everything we can. We've just gone from, it's a crazy paradigm shift. 95% of what we do at the Bhakti Center is in person, right? That's what we've done for years, for the last decade, in person. Come through our doors, let's connect in community. That has just completely shifted. Now we're 100% online. So it is a total paradigm shift, and every single day we're creating more offerings, and we're putting those online. You can find them on bhakticenter.org. And my wife Deanna and I, we're starting on Wednesday. We're starting a live Zoom, which will be a podcast also, a recorded podcast, and it's called Elevate. And we're talking about how we can elevate our life and elevate our relationships, and we'll be having conversations about that too. And so we got a lot of fun things coming up, and ways to stay connected, and doing the best we can to do that for the community.
Wonderful. So if you guys make sure you check out bhakticenter.org. For those of you that are from the UK or from Europe, you can still support them. You can still find ways in which you can connect with them through Instagram or through the website or through their podcast. There's so much stuff that they're doing, so please do check it out. It's definitely worth, if you've got time in the day, which all of us do now, if you want something uplifting and enlightening, then please do check out the Bhakti Center, all the stuff that they're doing. But from my side, I really want to thank you once again for joining us. And hopefully all the viewers that are here, thank you so much for taking time out. I know that, there's so much content online right now. And when we started this conversation, there were about 100 of you. And now we've whittled down because there's just so many offerings, and I can completely appreciate that. And many of you are still messaging saying that you're watching this on replay for the next 24 hours. And I'm going to stick it on YouTube, of course, and it'll be on my Instagram TV soon enough as well. But thank you all so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. And hopefully see you guys all very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you guys for joining. Super grateful.
Thank you.